In France's AOC wine system and Italy's DOCG classification, there is a loophole. Right now, a producer like Guigol, one of the Rhône Valley's most prestigious estates, is legally required to sell a bottle of wine for under $20. Not because the wine is worse, not because it came from a bad vintage, but because he broke a rule, a bureaucratic wine rule. And when you break that rule, the law punishes you in the most ironic way possible. It forces you to sell your premium product at a fraction of its worth, with almost nothing on the label to tell you what it actually is. That is the loophole. And today, we are going to walk through it together. Here are 5 wines sitting on budget shelves right now that are, by any honest measure, luxury bottles in disguise. Europe's wine law is built on appellation systems. The AOC in France, the DOC and DOCG in Italy. These systems are strict. They dictate which grapes you can use, how many vines per hectare, how long the wine must age, and which villages can carry which names on a label. The body that enforces these rules in France is the INAO, the Institut National de l'Origine et de la Qualité, and they take it seriously. Break the rules, even unintentionally, and your wine gets stripped of its prestigious appellation. This process is known in the trade as declassification. It gets demoted to the most basic category. In France, that is Vin de France. In Italy, it might drop to IGT. And suddenly, a wine made by one of the world's greatest estates has to sell without its prestigious address on the label. The result? Extraordinary wine at everyday prices, if you know what to look for. Here are 5 examples, starting with number 5. Number 5. Côtes du Rhône. Here is what most people do not know about this wine. Côtes du Rhône is not a brand. It is a legal geographic designation covering a massive stretch of southern France's Rhône Valley. And inside that same valley, sitting just below the celebrated Côte Rôtie appellation, some of France's most legendary producers make wines that sell for $60, $80, even $150 a bottle. One of those producers is Guigol. Guigol's single vineyard, La Mouline, La Landonne, and La Turque, the so-called La 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 wines, sourced from the steep granite terraces of Côte Rôtie, regularly sell for over $200 and earn near-perfect scores from every serious critic alive, including Robert Parker, who famously awarded them perfect hundreds. But Guigol also makes a Côtes du Rhône, from the same region. Using the same classic GSM blend, Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre, the grape combination that defines the southern Rhône, made by the same team in the same cellars. It sells for around $12. Is it the same as La Landonne? No, but it is made by the same hands, from the same philosophy, in the same valley. The loophole here is not a legal demotion, it is a prestige gap. The name Côtes du Rhône is worth almost nothing to most buyers, even when the producer behind it is worth everything. Look for Guigol's Côtes du Rhône. It is as close to a free pass into one of France's greatest wine estates as you are ever going to get. Number 4. Barbera d'Alba. Piedmont, in northern Italy, is one of the wine world's most prestigious regions. Its flagship grape is Nebbiolo, the grape behind Barolo and Barbaresco, wines that regularly sell for $60, $100, $200 a bottle. Barolo is sometimes called the king of Italian wine. Bottles from top producers like Giacomo Conterno or Bruno Giacosa can exceed $500. When those same producers want to showcase Nebbiolo at a younger, more approachable stage, they release it under the Langhe Nebbiolo DOC, a stepping stone that still carries the pedigree of the estate and sells for $30 to $50 less than the Barolo itself. But those same producers grow another grape alongside their Nebbiolo, a grape called Barbera. It is the most planted variety in all of Piedmont by a wide margin. And because it is not Nebbiolo, the market treats it almost as an afterthought. Giacomo Conterno's Barbera d'Alba sells for around $20. Made by a producer many consider the greatest Barolo producer on earth. The vineyards sit in the same hills. The winemaking philosophy is identical. Wine Spectator has consistently rated Conterno's Barbera among the finest value wines produced in the entire region. The loophole here is pure snowberry. The market has decided Nebbiolo is royalty and Barbera is the servant. But the servant, in this case, lives in the same palace. Find a Barolo producer you admire and look for their Barbera d'Alba. You are getting the craftsman at a fraction of the cost of his masterpiece. Number 3. Rosso di Montalcino. Brunello di Montalcino is one of Italy's most celebrated and expensive wines. A single bottle from a top producer like Biondi Santi or Ciacci Piccolomini d'Aragona can cost anywhere from $50 to several $100s. It is made from a clone of Sangiovese called Brunello, grown exclusively in the hills around the Tuscan town of Montalcino. To put that in context, Sangiovese is also the grape behind Chianti Classico, but the Brunello clone and the specific microclimate of Montalcino produce something widely considered in a different league entirely. To carry the Brunello label, the wine must be aged for a minimum of 5 years before release, 6 for the Riserva. But those same producers also make a wine called Rosso di Montalcino. Same grape, same vineyards, same producers, same hands. The only difference is aging time. Instead of 5 years, it needs just 1. The result is a wine that is lighter, fresher, and immediately drinkable, and it typically sells for $20 to $35. From producers whose main label costs 10 times that. The loophole is time. Brunello di Montalcino is Rosso di Montalcino with years of patience built into the price. If you do not need the patience, and most of us drinking on a Tuesday night do not, you can buy the same estate's wine right now for a fraction of the Brunello price. Number 2. Bourgogne. Burgundy is the most complex and arguably the most prestigious wine region on earth. A single vineyard can produce wines selling for thousands of dollars per bottle. The appellation system works in concentric circles, Grand Crus at the center, then Premier Crus, then village-level wines like Gevrey-Chambertin or Pommard, names that carry so much weight they command $100 or more on their own, and, at the widest ring, the most basic designation of all, Bourgogne. But here is what most shoppers walk past without realizing. Louis Jadot, one of Burgundy's most respected and historic houses, makes a Bourgogne Pinot Noir. So does Joseph Drouhin. So does Chanson. These are houses that also produce Grand Cru Burgundy, costing hundreds of dollars per bottle. Their Bourgogne sells for $15 to $25. This is Pinot Noir from Burgundy, made by Burgundian masters, using centuries of Burgundian knowledge. The grapes come from the outer ring of the same appellation. The philosophy behind the winemaking is identical to what fills their most expensive bottles. The loophole is the label. Bourgogne looks like a generic word. It does not shout the way Gevrey-Chambertin or Pommard does. Buyers walk past it every day. You should not. Number 1. And this is the one that makes wine professionals genuinely uncomfortable when you bring it up. Vin de France. This is the most basic designation in the entire French wine classification system. No appellation, no village, no specified grape variety, often no vintage year on the label at all. To most shoppers, Vin de France reads as cheap, anonymous, ignore it. And that is exactly what the French wine establishment wants you to think. Here is what they don't advertise. When a producer inside a prestigious appellation breaks an AOC rule, uses a grape variety not approved for their region, exceeds the yield limit, decides to experiment outside the strict rulebook, the INAO strips their wine of its prestigious designation. This is declassification in its most severe form. Overnight, a wine made by an elite producer from elite vineyards with elite winemaking has to be sold without its famous address, without its appellation, without the designation that makes it worth hundreds of dollars. Some of France's most creative and respected winemakers have had wines declassified in exactly this way. Estates in the Loire, the Languedoc, and even Burgundy produce Vin de France cuvées that are, by any blind tasting measure, extraordinary, selling for $8, $12, $15. The law designed to punish them becomes a gift to you. The way to find them: look for Vin de France bottles where the producer's name is displayed with genuine pride. Look for a back label written with the care you would expect from a serious estate. Then look up that producer. More often than not, you will find someone with a serious pedigree who made something the appellation committee did not approve of. The wine they did not want you to know about is often the most interesting thing they have ever made. 5 bottles, 5 loopholes. Each one a crack in the system that benefits exactly the kind of person watching this channel. This is what the wine industry does not want everyday buyers to understand: that the price gap between cheap and luxury is often not about what is in the bottle. It is about who controls the label. If this opened your eyes to even one bottle you will now pick up differently, the subscribe button is right there. Drop a comment below. Which of these 5 surprised you most? And if you have already found your own hidden luxury bottle, I want to hear about it. We are just getting started.